Hello and welcome back to EPIC41. I'm Reaper Steve, and well, we're about ready for StarCraft 2 finals. It's only been like, what, an hour and a half maybe-ish? 4 hours? Okay, 4 hours is fine, either way. You're all still awake, that's the most important thing, right? And you're all drinking, which is even better, I suppose. I'm not going to be doing this myself, of course. I have two fantastic casters standing by ready to lead you on. Gentlemen, how are you?
This is peak StarCraft 2 hours right now.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
You know, none of the StarCraft players get up before midday anyway, so honestly, the later the better for the finals. So
What do you call it? Degen StarCraft 2 hours.
Yeah.
I understand we've got two very good competitors coming up. Of course, familiar faces for the grand final stage, of course. We have Risky and Figaro.
Yeah, Figaro, who won previous LAN. Yeah.
Yep, defending champion.
Defending champ,
40, is joining us on the stage. And
I understand
Risky.
they both finished top of the group as well, so they got kind of the buy-in into the last 12, and
That's right.
have kind of slogged their way through.
Straight into the top 8, yeah, and they've slogged it through. Figaro being only knocked down to the lower bracket by Risky himself.
Really? So it's a rematch?
It is.
And a grudge match.
A grand final rematch, nice. Should we get our competitors up?
I think we should.
We
That's
probably
about
should.
time.
They've been waiting around for long enough, I suppose. But please welcome to the stage, Figaro and Risky. Hopefully. Hello,
Slow
gentlemen. The good news is I'm not going to ask you any questions. So I'm going to bore the rest of everyone with my mundane questions. I think we should be good to go. Oh, that's nice, that, isn't it? You like to see that. You like to see that. Anyway, gents, I'm going to hand it off to the pair of you. Enjoy, and I shall see you all sometime soon. Hopefully before, like, Mackey's closes, maybe. I don't know. See you all soon.
See you in a bit. Thanks for handing us over. Yeah, I'm hoping we can get in, so I've still got time to do my Duolingo before midnight.
Is that the cutoff? You've finished with Pokemon Go. It's time for Duolingo. But more importantly, it's time for the finals of this fantastic StarCraft 2 tournament here at EPIC41 with Intel. Yeah, I'm not sure there's too much more that needs to be said about the two players. You know, everyone knows Risky. He's the winningest StarCraft 2 player at Epic LAN. I've actually lost count of the number of times he's won. This is over 10. Like, 11, I'm being shouted at by Molten, thank you. It's 11
but
wins.
who's counting?
Who's counting? Risky certainly isn't. He's just going to go get another trophy to add to his ever-expanding trophy shelf at home.
Yeah, so Fig, hoping to get his second one. And
Yeah.
Get that one on the trophy shelf.
Yeah, yeah.
I think when you get to 2, it's worth putting up a shelf just for trophies.
I don't think he will have put up a shelf just yet, but if he did, it will be a lonely shelf until he takes down Risky today. Christ. So we're in the lobby, getting the map set up at the moment. Looks like it's going to be one of our favourites, Oceanborn. We've seen it so many times today, and I'm sure we're looking forward to getting back into that one.
Yeah, you revealed yourself as a big lover of the water physics, so hoping we see some roaches, some ravagers.
I couldn't be happier that this is the
queens,
map that we're
all
starting on.
floating towards the camera.
Speaking of starting this series, it is worth mentioning, with Risky coming undefeated through that upper bracket, he does get the one map advantage as well.
Yeah, so it's kind of a best of 6 as opposed to best of 7.
Yeah, so hopefully we're not going to keep everyone up past midnight, but I'm not going to make any promises because it is ZVZ, and it'll either be 10 seconds or 20 hours. Like, who can say?
Yeah, I mean, we've kind of done all of our ZVZ preamble when we were casting from upstairs. Molten and I were talking about how kind of dynamic, how, it can change, spin on the head of a needle.
We've talked about how volatile it is as well. Like, we saw Iba earlier in this tournament intentionally picking any race other than Zerg, really, so that he didn't have to play ZVZ. Didn't necessarily work out for him, actually. In fact, he lost both the games he played as Protoss, and then when he switched back to Zerg, he managed to take a map in that series. So, in this game, we're not going to be seeing any shenanigans with race switching. Both players obviously very comfortable with their primary race as Zerg, and that's what we're going to be seeing on this map. We're just waiting for the lights to go down. I don't know when that will happen. I think it's once we get into the map, it'll go down.
Start. So I think both players are ready and we should be hopping into Oceanborn shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Big shout out to our sponsors again. The Asus ROG monitors we've been using all day have been absolutely fantastic on the eyes. You know, a 13-hour of streaming today has not been a problem at all using these monitors. And we've got the comfy Noble chairs as well, which I'm looking forward to sitting down on once the game starts, because at the moment we're standing up, and that's not as comfortable as sitting in the Noble chairs.
Absolutely right. There we go. Are we switching over? God, look at that production value.
Would you look at that? Look at the overlays we have. Absolutely beautiful package that's been put together by the production team. And we're in the game. Do you want to do the honors of introducing the players down here in the bottom right?
Down in the bottom right of Oceanborn, up 1-0 in this best of 7, coming from the upper bracket in the red, playing for Team StarCraft Improve, Risky.
The overlay is going to lie about his name. Do not worry, that is Risky. And then in the top left-hand corner, in the blue trunks, Orsko representing Team TSI. Big representatives in the crowd cheering for TSI when the game was starting. We have the blue Zerg. It is Figaro.
Figaro going for the 15-15. We've seen him pull out so many times before. He's really at home with this build. I think Risky hopefully has kind of seen it, thought about it, prepared against it, and kind of taken that in stride.
And that's the fantastic thing about this being the grand finals of our tournament. There's no need for the players to hold anything back. You know, anything's on the table here. Any build could happen. Things we haven't seen before in the tournament, even though we've seen quite a lot of ZVZ. Obviously with Iba getting that top 3 berth as well, we've seen a lot of ZVZ in the top parts of the tournament. But, you know, hopefully we'll see something new here and something potentially that we haven't seen already.
Yeah, it's a bit of an advantage for Risky, definitely. Fig had to pull out all the stops to take Iba down, so he's kind of shown most of his best strategies, whereas Risky will have seen them kind of taken note, seen kind of what the range of possibilities are.
He's had a bit of time to relax, hopefully not hit the
that's
bar
true.
too hard just yet. I think he's been a good boy.
That does tend to come afterwards, thankfully.
Yeah, that does tend to come after thankfully, and I'm sure Risky can handle himself. He's certainly won enough epic lands for that to be the case. This game's pretty chill at the moment, not too much going on. We will keep our voices down a little bit just to make sure that we're not spoiling anything too precious for the players on stage in case they can overhear us.
Yeah, thankfully we don't have to scream about hidden bases or dark shrines or proxy racks or anything just yet.
Let's talk about the dark shrines we're seeing in this game, Hart. What do you think about the 4-gate, the proxy 4-gate that's happening right now?
It's a good build. It is a damn good build. I think Fig should definitely pull it out in game number 2, if nothing else.
So also a big shout out to all of our new viewers that we have on the main Epic LAN stream. We've been on Epic LAN 3 all day with the StarCraft action, and you know every Epic LAN 3 on Twitch is the place to catch all of your favorite RTS action. But we should have some new viewers now who might have not heard some of the things we talked about before, and also might not be too familiar with StarCraft. So we'll try and keep this light and breezy and get you guys introduced to the wonders of ZVZ.
Yeah, I mean, all of the Overwatch kind of fans that stuck around will be surprised to hear that this is a Blizzard game. They've just never heard of it, and it came out before most of them were born, probably.
And apparently our admin, who is a HOTS fan, would also be surprised to know that characters from that game are from this game. So if you recognise anything, that might be why.
God, can you imagine someone coming up to me like, "Oh, that's Kerrigan from Heroes
From
of the
Heroes of the
Storm."
Storm.
I think you vomit. We do see a big scout for Risky, who is going to see that Figaro's not really up to that much just yet in the game. Look at that little lingo spiraling off. Amazing.
That's what we've all been waiting for. As I said earlier, I love silly physics. To be honest, if StarCraft could do with more ragdolls, the ragdolls are pretty good, but what if all like the limbs just went crazy and did weird things? Like that would make the game infinitely better. Okay, we're seeing some tech choices at long last. A Roach Warren is going down for Figaro in that front wall.
Yeah, which has been kind of his bread and butter so far. We saw him play it quite a lot against Ebo. But obviously, it's a really nice opening to keep some of your tech hidden and get a full wall up nice and early, wall it in with the queens, and then you're quite safe against any of these leg scouts that Risky might send across to try and figure out what exactly his opponent is up to.
Yeah, as you can see, the queens there are blocking off that full wall. They're not going to get these lings. They're going to have any luck getting in. Oh, hang on. There's
It's
a
not
gap
a
at the
full
bottom.
wall. Did we notice?
No, neither of us noticed. That's a good start to this cast.
Luckily, Figaro didn't either.
Now it's blocked.
I think Risky actually didn't realise it was a full wall and didn't realise he'd get through there, and now wishes he did commit and go.
The fact that the
all way
lings
in.
ran all the way through and then still left anyway was glorious. I absolutely loved that. But he does at least now know, for example, that Figaro hasn't taken his third, whereas Risky has, so he can kind of just sit there and contain him and keep an eye on anything that might be happening. That Overlord could go into the main if it needs to, sack itself to see if it can scout any information.
Yeah,
for the time being.
Risky's seeing like enough here. He's seen a decent queen count, which tells you that it wasn't a really fast layer or anything weird like that. He's seeing that the gas is getting spent at the front, and it is getting spent on +1 ranged and roach speed. So he knows that there's a lot of the gas kind of spending is accounted for here.
So I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say you're a better Zerg than I am. Is this wall position normal?
Yeah.
As in, like, with the gap at the bottom?
Okay, what they did is a lot of the new maps have like 4 building walls. And that's why Protoss have started doing this really weird like pylon in wall thing. And then they died to Bane Bus, which is...
Yeah, because pylons aren't...
really
No, they have a lot less health than buildings, funnily enough.
Exactly right. So, yeah, they've kind of taken that direction, it seems purposefully, with these newer maps. And a lot of Zerg players don't like it, especially because some of them, the creep doesn't quite cover it, so you need to like put a tumor down before you can actually finish your wall.
And then you put the tumor in the wrong place, you can't put a building there, and then you lose the will to live. So here we are, we see Figaro trying to finally get out and expand, and it's going to get denied really nicely by Risky, and he's going to get the Lings into the main to do a bit of scouting. Really good play there. There's nothing to see, but it's good that he can secure that.
He is seeing a lot of roaches getting made, but you know he's kind of figured that out by now. They ran under a lot of overlords, and he's now got enough roaches kind of back home to defend those. Fig's speed is going to be slightly quicker than Risky's, but Risky's +1 range actually already finished up, so the upgrade advantage is not really there for either player. And Fig, you know, has quite quicker reinforcements, but not quite as quick as Risky's because it's Risky's base.
And we see Figaro trying to push across the map. Does pick up a queen for his troubles, but he's going to have to be careful. There's a lot of roaches there for Risky as well. Doesn't want to overcommit. Even using the creep there from the Overlord to speed up his highway to his opponent's base, and also his retreat.
We don't have any game music on. Can you do Control and M? Hey, that's why it was so quiet. There we go. I love a bit of atmosphere.
To be fair, we don't also have any game audio through our headsets, but we can hear it through the oh, maybe we do. Maybe it was just that quiet.
Yeah.
Wow, it was just the music.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, the StarCraft music is epic and fantastical, and it's going to really bring, I think, a nice air to this final.
Definitely. Risky keeping an eye on this third over here, but obviously I think he's pretty happy with his kind of spot in this game. He's gotten away with pretty fast third into a quicker +2 range than Fig got away with. Now really happy since he's just got a scout and the Spire. I think he's kind of pretty well set up in this game and should be able to get through kind of the mid game pretty much unscathed by anything that Fig is kind of planning to throw at him.
It'll be amazing to me if that Overseer gets away, which it of course doesn't, as it gets picked off by the queens. Oh, it's a changeling. Oh, I didn't see that changeling pop out.
Yeah, neither did
cute.
Fig since it's now chilling in his main base. Oh, sorry, neither
did Risky. Yeah. Risky, not too phased about that changeling. He'll let it be for now. It will expire of its own course at a certain moment.
So Fig is going for this kind of timing, upgrade timing that we've seen countless times before, so he is going to end up with an upgrade lead as Risky is opting not to do that. But this does mean that Risky is, you know, putting his gas somewhere else and investing more into those roaches. We're starting to see a bit of the supplies diverge here, despite equal work accounts. But obviously, the work account that we're at now is deceptive when Risky could have been mining off of like 10 more workers for even minutes before this.
You know, this has been a remarkably passive game so far from both players. It's not necessarily what you'd expect to see in ZVZ. As we said, it can be quite a volatile matchup, and in fact we've seen quite the opposite of this. Both players have largely gone unmolested, no real big engagements except for this one that could be happening now.
Yeah, Risky's pushing up with his max out, his +2 finishing up. Fig kind of meeting him on the map. I don't hate it at all, but he does need to be careful. He gets a really nice concave and you know, gets ahead of the kind of roach ball. Risky looks like he's wanting to take this fight, start to dive.
He can get the surround.
Yeah, a decent start to fight, a decent concave, actually. I think he just has kind of overwhelming numbers here. We're starting to see supplies dip, but not dip in equal proportions. Risky supplies dip actually. What a game. I love ZVZ.
And it was a wonderfully passive game until it wasn't, and then it all exploded into action at the end there, and we do see Risky taking what is technically map 2 in this series. It's the first game that we've unfortunately only been able to watch, because Risky came in with one map advantage, but that does put him just 2 wins away from yet another Epic land title.
Yeah, it does mean that he's on like the penultimate match point. Match point.
Match point. I don't think that's a thing.
I'm making it a thing.
We can make it a thing.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make fetch a thing. The Mean Girls chat from before the game is carrying on.
It's never going to be a thing.
It's never going to be a thing, Gretchen. But yeah, that was a
weird one.
A weird one, yeah.
Passive,
as I said, nothing happened, and then all of a sudden it was all over in one attack.
With the roach upgrades hitting.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, Risky had the upgrade advantage. He had the supply advantage. It was always going to be really tough, even with the defender's advantage, for Figaro to be able to hold that push, and it turned out to be too much with the split, and then it was over in an instant.
Yeah, and in a mirror, like we're seeing there. Obviously, anything you invest that isn't into the same thing as your opponent is doing puts you at a disadvantage in that thing. And in this case, it was Figaro putting the Spire down, costing himself those resources and those gas in particular, and that kind of set him back in that game. We are going to hop quickly into game 2, which is going to be Site Delta, which is another kind of watery map. It's like a beach map. It's very Ohio.
No physics, though.
Well, there's gravity, but it just goes straight down instead
of that's normal gravity is pretty boring, actually, in hindsight, after you've just got to enjoy what we saw in the previous map. But we'll load in. Speaking of beaches, there's a lovely beach in Risky's kind of
I think it's a little hot
banner.
Yeah, it's very relaxing.
And we're in game 2.
Before the games.
Look at that.
Spawning in the bottom right of Site Delta, going to match point. Playing in the red is Risky.
And up in the top left-hand corner, in the blue trunks, going to have quite the task on him to fight back from 2-0 down in this series. It's the one, the only, Figaro.
Judging by the kind of cheers, who do you think is the favourite among the crowd? For this
There is no favourite. Everyone loves everyone equally in the StarCraft 2
or
scene.
hates each other equally?
Oh, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I didn't choose you on ladder yet, so there's still time. Figaro is sticking with his favourite opening, the 15-15, I think till the end, which may not take too long since it's not working out super well for him so far in this series.
No, yeah, I don't think, like, other than that, you know, tech choice that we talked about in the previous game that was lost resources that kind of put him a little bit on the back foot. I don't think he did anything explicitly wrong in that first game, but he is probably thinking around about now, what can I do differently to give myself an advantage that I need to try and make this more of an even match? As we said, Risky's already taken him down once today in the upper bracket, and he's going to be scared that that's going to be happening again if he wants to try and get that second Epic LAN title.
You're absolutely right. I think it's a really tough time in the series where you're looking at it and you're like, okay, plan A didn't work. What's my next best plan for plan B? And in this case, it's obviously the same opening, but I think he is going to have to pick something different and not, Groundhog Day himself and play the same thing over and over and over again and hope that it changes, which is, may not even ever happen.
Yeah, obviously in the first match that we watched, second game of the series, Risky's third went down a lot quicker than Figaro's did. Do you think that could have also contributed to his economic disadvantage?
Yeah, but I think Fig is opting into that when he's playing this opener.
Yep.
So it's not like that should be a massive surprise, and that shouldn't really be like, oh wow, I've never encountered that in my time laddering with this build. But obviously, whatever he kind of has in mind is not kind of compensating for that. So that needs to be, there needs to be something different. There needs to be some change there.
And yeah, when you're playing a player of Risky's caliber, you need to find every edge you can, try and, as I said, bring it back to a level playing field. There's a reason why Risky has won as many Epic LANs as he has.
Yeah, it's amazing, honestly. He shows up having not played much at all, and he says, yeah, I'm really rusty, I haven't played that much, and then he just, over the course of the day, seems to de-rusk, turn it on, and gets himself into these finals time after time.
There's a lot of StarCraft 2 that gets played an Epic LAN weekend across Friday and Saturday. You got the group stages, there's a round-robin groups, up to 5 or 6 games, depending on how many people are in each group. And then, the knockout bracket is a daunting one, especially if you have to drop down to the lower bracket, like some of our players have had to do, and then play many, many rounds to get to this stage. Thankfully, both of these players, they didn't have to spend too long in the lower bracket, only Figaro spending that one match down there and bouncing straight back up again.
But neither of these players, I think, would be too worried about even going down there. Risky, last LAN, spent a good old time wallowing around in the lower, kind of snatching up little morsels.
I was doing some research before this game, trying to look back on the history of Risky's many, many Epic LAN victories, and I could be wrong, but I'm fairly sure he's never lost an Epic LAN final. Every final he's got to, he has won. So it really would be some upset if Figaro managed to stop him in his tracks at the final hurdle, because no one's managed to do it yet.
I'd love to see it. So in this case, it's Fig actually doing a bit of a kind of divergence from his build that we saw in the previous game. So in this one, instead of ranged, it's going to be Carabase, and he's going another Evo at the front here. I wonder if he's going to use it. So my instinct tells me not. My instinct tells me that he's going Carapace because it makes his Ling stronger. And this is in fact going to be a kind of Ling Roach build as opposed to pure Roaches. It's really hard to tell from the outside because once you see the building wobbling, you don't know why it's wobbling. It could be ranged upgrades or it could be that Carapace, and you actually have no way of knowing which one.
Yeah, that is one of the gambles you kind of have to make when scouting your opponent, is like what tech are they going for, what research are they going for.
And how big of an assumption can you make based on what you're seeing? Sometimes you see a tech lab and you're like, oh, it's Banshees, but it can be a battlecruiser just as easily, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We see some sparring with Lings in this match. This is something we didn't get to enjoy in the previous match, and it's kind of a signature staple of ZVZ is the Ling back and forth. It's a really micro-intensive battle, isn't it, where both players really have to keep on their toes to make sure they don't make that one mistake. It gets worse if Banelings were to come into the mix, so we haven't seen those yet, but it could be something that we see later in the series.
Have kind of just skipped the Banes and gone straight for Roaches, and 2 Roach Warrants. In this game so far, no Bane Nest. Is looking like Fig kind of liked his spot, and then Risky made quite a lot more Lings than Fig was expecting. Fig now with the Roaches coming out, but these Queens are getting really quite out of position. That means the Roaches can be next. Fig needs to be a little bit careful. A good trade so far for Risky. So Risky's going to keep his Lings circling around, going to pick off a Creep Tumor, which hurts even more, I guess, because the Queens just went down. Still, I think Fig isn't too upset about that. He traded a lot of Lings, and the Lings obviously could have been workers. That said, Risky's taken a decent worker lead so far in this game already.
I was thinking what you said about both players choosing to skip banelings so far. I think it's just perhaps a sign of respect they have for one another. They both believe that that kind of micro battle would be immensely difficult against the other player, perhaps, that they didn't want to get involved with it and just jump straight to roaches.
Risky's seen something to put him on edge because he's actually grabbing a spine crawler. So he's clearly he's clearly thinking that he's over-droned somewhere and thinks that there's a lot of aggro coming out of Fig. We'll see, where that is and where that ends up. So far, it doesn't really look like it.
No, we're heading back to another kind of stage of the game where both players are kind of settling down after the Lings kind of had their back and forth. And then we'll see if we end up in a similar situation where one player's roach count gets significantly ahead of the others and a big push is enough to finish them off.
Yeah, interesting kind of game we're in. Roach upgrades obviously coming through as normal. Fig, instead of going for +2 carapace, which we would never do, is going to try and catch up in the attack upgrades. Risky coming through with his +2 attack. At the moment, his +1 is obviously nullified by the carapace. So I guess at the end of the day, we're just even in upgrades, as long as there are kind of no big timings that can be made between those two.
We saw Figaro trying to get away with another cheeky changeling into the main of Risky. Probably didn't get spotted. The last one seemed to happily live its life. Oh, it might have died, actually.
Yeah, I think it might have gone, but the Overseer's kind of seen everything, and Risky hasn't kind of snuck anything down around it. Is that just an empty dropper lord? Just chilling?
Just vibing.
Okay, fair enough.
Just vibing in the corner of the base.
It's a flex.
There was a point where two drones went down. I don't know if there were some Lings in that drop overlord a while ago, and it's still just sitting there from earlier. It is going home now, so I think it's done its job at least.
Seen things, man.
Seen things that it will never forget.
Do you have a fourth coming through for Risky? Nice early timing, and he does seem to have stabilized on a really nice roach count. Getting obviously his upgrades going, Fig catching up gradually, but he'll always kind of be behind so long as Risky stays on top of those kind of upgrade timings and keeps those crisp. Does look like Risky's going for a bit of a move out, but I think he might wait until he's maybe closer to maxed.
We're going to see a roach drop this time. Probably going to go back into the main with that drop overlord. Meanwhile, Figaro's trying to send his own roaches across the map to try and harass that third. It's not going to find anything at the alternative fourth position, however, as the Biles missed that overlord there. It's a very speedy boy.
Yeah, hard to play dodgeball when these overlords have their speed upgrade. It's going to be a bit easier for Risky, of course.
We'll see how many drones this manages to kill. It's already got 2, which is kind of equaling the drop that we saw from Risky. We'll see if that drop comes in at the same time. The Spine Crawler's doing some work, and the Queen might actually go down here, which it does. That's a nice pickup there for Figaro.
Yeah, Risky's so out of position, and these roaches ran kind of all the long way around the map and managed to dodge all of the overlords. The drop goes into the main, so this Queen's going to get taken out, and then some drones along with it. Risky kind of pulling all of his army back to deal with not a massive kind of roach run by, but Fig really slow to pull these drones away from the main base.
I'm surprised those roaches are still getting as much damage done as they were in the main. It was kind of a queen for a queen and a similar number of drones that have gone down so far. Figaro finally sending some roaches back to deal with them, and now a big engagement at the front of the fourth.
Yeah, nice bios for Fig. Risky kind of forced to run through them if he wanted to get his roaches on top of Figs, but this is looking like overwhelming numbers for Risky, as once again he's just up in supply and no real kind of end in sight for Fig in terms of catching up.
Yeah, once again we see Risky pulling ahead both in army and worker supply. It's only a slight lead in the worker supply, but at the moment Risky is maxed out and he's going to be coming for that attack.
Yeah, I mean both players losing similar numbers of drones, so that favours Risky, who is already up in drones. Obviously he wants to be active with these units now he's maxed. He's also teching behind it, which obviously once you're maxed you start banking, so it makes perfect sense to kind of invest in that tech at this point.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course having that bank does mean he can remax really quickly when he does lose his roach army, so he's going to be less scared of trading it out and trying to do some more damage to Figaro's economy at his fourth.
Yeah, the drop re-emerges into the main and more drones going down there. Really nice bios for Risky, more than Figaro so far. This fight's a little bit disjointed. Risky's kind of got his army split between these rocks, but I think there's just too much here, to be honest.
Yeah, this could be another decisive blow as the reinforcements come in, as that drop continues to do damage in the main. More queens going down, more drones going down, and Figaro's falling further and further behind.
Yeah, this army over on the south gets taken out, and Risky's actually splitting more units towards the natural, doubling Figaro's supply. GG is cool. We're going to the actual match point, the actual ace match.
Not the match point.
No, think of the real one this time.
I'm getting jump scared every time by the victory screen coming up, so this could be the final time I get jump scared this evening, but hopefully Figaro can pull it back and make this a series, because at the moment he's teetering on the brink of not reclinching his second Epic LAN title.
Yeah, I think honestly he's just keen to wrap this before midnight so I can get my Duolingo streak and then we can all go to bed.
That's what we've all been making sure that we could do, making sure that the wonderful production team behind the desk don't have to stay up too late. Big shout out to EXO for doing us a favour and observing all the games. He's been doing a fantastic job so far. And of course, a massive shout out to Luna for running production for us for the whole way through the event. And
Cryologic for
adminning and doing an absolutely fantastic job of getting us here something like 2.5 hours before we actually needed to be here because of shenanigans.
Yeah, I think. Okay, I'm going to say, I think they're going to steal our admin for Overwatch next year, and then Overwatch might be on time, but then we'll be late again.
That's fine. We'll just trade it back each year. We can alternate who gets to be late. Well, we're going to load into the third map that we're going to be watching, and potentially the final map of this series. It's Golden Aura, one I haven't seen too much today.
We haven't seen it. I think most people, well, I don't know about most people, Risky doesn't like it.
Right.
So Risky hasn't played it against any Protoss.
And we've seen a lot of Risky
in the
this
mirror.
tournament.
Yeah, we're in the mirror this time, so I think it's okay to let that one through the vetoes.
Yeah. One of the main concerns with certain maps is, they might be favoured towards a certain race, so in a mirror matchup, that's less of a concern. The other thing to bear in mind is, obviously, with this being a best of 7, they're going to have to play the majority of the map pool anyway if they are to take the series to its full length. But we're loading in already, so why don't we introduce the players one more time, potentially?
You can do this one.
Oh, what a treat. Well, starting in that top left-hand corner position, representing Team TSI. In the red trunks, it is Risky.
And with his tournament life on the line, spawning in the blue in the bottom right of Golden Aura for Team StarCraft 2 Improve, it is Figaro.
Big love for Fig in the crowd. Massive fan of that. And yeah, this is a... I haven't seen much of this map today now that I'm looking at it a bit closer. It's a bit of a throwback one to me.
You're having the opposite of Deja Vu, where it's like, you've never been here before.
There's got to have been a map at some point called Deja Vu, right?
That would be a great name for a map. Has there really not been one?
I thought there had been, but maybe I've made that up. It sounds like it's a map name.
Maybe you have a memory of there being a map called Deja Vu without there having actually
I just had a dream last night. I invented a new map pool. But here we are, not on Deja Vu, on Golden Aura. Are we seeing Figaro doing the same thing again?
We're not. It's actually a different opening, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, that's worth talking about, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's the standard opening that Risky's been playing the whole time. I might be wrong, actually. This might have been the same opening he's been playing.
We weren't paying enough attention. We were too busy looking at the pretty new map. The Overlords are not quite going to bump head. I think that's every game so far. They've failed to have a little kissy on the way past, which does make me sad. It's pretty much the only... no, I was going to say it's the only enjoyable thing about CVZ, which is an incredibly harsh thing to say.
So mean.
But it is a pretty hype moment when the Overlords do give each other a little peck on the cheek.
I am going to have to check what this build was, because it isn't... They're not doing the same build.
Right.
I mean, someone's done something.
Someone's done something different or wrong. Those are the two options.
I can't really tell who or why.
But given how good both of these players are, I don't think I'm going to assume that any of them have done anything wrong. I'm pretty sure everything is intentional.
Yeah, the only thing I can spot at the moment is just that there's slightly faster gas for Fig, and we'll see if that kind of comes into play shortly.
Do they both have it fully saturated? I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
yes.
Should be. You can tell by like the little numbers on the bottom, because they should be the same.
Oh, yes. Look at that. WCS overlay doing us a solid.
It's so good. And also earlier, somebody oversaturated the gas and they had 4 mining, but the number doesn't change because 4 is like oversaturated.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No,
and dropping down to 2 now that speed is on the way.
Yeah, so Risky obviously playing that quite normal. Fig not so much.
Could be a sign. Maybe we'll see banelings in this game.
Could be a sign of things to come, that's for sure. Risky's so good though at getting these lings, kind of like weaving them through, dodging traffic cones, I don't know, all sorts. Always gets them into the main, especially, I would say even when his opponents don't want him to, but it's especially when his opponents don't want them to. Does see the tech, does know what's going on, pretty much always. Quick third out for Risky.
And we do see a baneling nest coming down this time for the first time in the series. Yeah. We'll see what Figaro can get done with that, and whether he'll get, more importantly, get scouted by these 2 lings, which it looks like it's gonna, because they've walked straight past the queens.
Every time you don't want him scouting, there you go. And yeah, I don't know really why Fig pulled his queens that way. I think it would have made a lot more sense to kind of leave them on the ramp. Obviously, it's a little bit suspicious if you're like, hang on, why are you blocking me from scouting? Like, what are they doing on the ramp? But at the same time, there's so many things it could be that it actually kind of works.
So at the moment, Risky's hidden his 2 lings in the back of the base. I think they will get found. It looks like there's something rallying around the base. Yeah, and they've gone back into poke again just to check if anything has changed. But no, that Baneling nest did finish, and Risky's Baneling nest has been started accordingly and is already halfway done.
Yeah, there's a small window here where Fig has... Actually, I'm telling a complete lie. Risky, I think, skipped link speed, didn't he? So I think there's a really big window where... Oh, no, okay, just finished. I think we don't have game heart. Am I crazy? Anyway. Risky's speed just finishing up, but there was a small window where Fig was picking up some kills on the map with those lings. So be careful with these Baneling hits here.
Now that is very nice for Figaro. An unexpected
Really
win as the
good
Banelings
start.
morph at the exact moment the lings
His
have to
queen's on
wrap
the
around
wall,
and
so
cancel
he
them.
even gets in with the lings. That should be a dead queen. He does need to be careful not to make the same mistake the Risky just did and stay away from those Banes. You really have no idea like when they're going to pop, so that was a kind of a good call for the Fig there. I think definitely the safer play not to overextend and eat a Bane to the face.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame he wasn't able to get any reinforcements across the map in time. There are 8 more Banelings on the way. Those are morphing on his side of the map, though. But they'll be good defensively for when these Speedlings do show up.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting into this Ling Bane versus Ling Bane kind of scrappy fight now. Risky obviously taking a bit of an L there earlier on, but does now need to be careful not to have that happen over again, and it does. More Banes coming through now for Risky, and Fig actually eating one of those to the face, so I think we're now equal.
Ooh.
Not sure who's kind of winning this bit of a slugger boxing match. One more Bane goes down. Actually, Fig needs a lot more lings here, but the Bane's into Risky's natural puts him at a really nice worker advantage. 12 killed in this game gives him a good advantage, so long as he just doesn't die to the lings on his side of the map. Really does need to keep that third alive as well if he has any hope of staying in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And when we said ZVZ can be quite swingy, this is what we were talking about. The Baneling explosions are so key, and Figaro is doing a really good job of getting consistently good Baneling hits.
Yeah, the only thing I will flag is Risky is still sticking with the +1 range through all of this. He's kind of decided he doesn't need that gas, doesn't need those minerals, and that should give him a kind of decent advantage, so long as he doesn't die in the Ling Bane portion of the game.
It doesn't look like he's going to die like he is, you know, on Figaro's side of the map the whole way through
Whoa,
this.
Fig absolutely ran it down, running straight headfirst into a bunch of Banelings. That's even things right out, as we now see Fig actually dipping in supply below Risky for the first time in a long time. Risky getting now onto the hatch. This really is not what Fig wanted and really should not have happened.
If this hatch gets killed, he's going to be in a world of trouble. He is going to be able to defend the Zerglings away for now, but the Banelings can't do too much on their own.
Yeah, they really do need this kind of like Ling bodyguard, Ling entourage, and otherwise you're just running Banes to their death. Basically, one more going down there. I think Fig now has enough reinforcements to hold this. There is another Bane incoming through. Risky.
So the good news for Fig, right, is that his Roach Warren is already done, and it's done before Risky, so he's already pumping 4 Roaches. Those might be able to catch Risky off guard a little bit, but as you said, once Risky does get his Roach Warren up, he'll have the +1 advantage done already.
Yeah, the Roaches are really good like way just to stabilize and kind of act as an anchor in all of this because they're just so tanky against the Lings. Fig really pushing out here, but Risky's going to run his Lings all the way around and then go into the natural, maybe. Can Fig wall just in time with those Roaches, very nicely done. Fig staying in the map, so these other Lings are going to get cleaned up as he can't kind of control on 2 fronts just this yet. Still more Roaches out for Fig, and he is starting to pull ahead kind of in the army supply. Obviously those Roach supply kind of inflates things a little bit, but they are so good in this kind of Ling Bane situation. These
Roaches are going to have to work really hard to keep this third alive. It's getting to the point where it's so low on health that any moment a Ling run by could finish it off. Risky's going to be relying on taking advantage of that at some point in this game. And Risky has tapped out.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. To be honest, I think it's listen, I don't want to mansplain ZVZ, but basically...
No, please do. I'm a complete noob when it comes to ZVZ.
Basically, I think Risky was just a little bit too all-in that game. He didn't realise quite how few workers Fig had got now, but Fig had just gotten too far ahead in the tech. Those Roaches are, like I said, really good for kind of stabilising and kind of holding your own base defensively against that kind of Ling Bane pressure. Risky's kind of all-in just with those Lings, and then he sees kind of the Roach count, sees that he's actually not getting into the nat.
Yep.
Fig can wall him out, keep the nat nice and safe, holds his third, and now Risky kind of has no real edge in that game.
Yeah.
I think the +1 did finish up, and then he never made any units that
could use it.
So
Like, yeah.
I mean, guess Queens, but he didn't pull them.
No.
In any case, that's a good one for Fig. Got one back on the board.
Yeah, we've got a series on our hand, right? Figaro's not tied series up, brought the series up to 3-1, given himself a chance to have a reverse sweep, which, you know, as we said earlier, Risky doesn't lose in grand finals. If Risky loses to a reverse sweep in a grand final, it will be absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm really excited that we're going to get to see more matches between these two. They've been consistently excellent throughout EPIC41 with Intel, and it's really exciting to get to watch more matches between them. What map are we going on to next? Oh, it's one of the favorites.
Solaris.
Yeah.
We've seen Solaris a few times.
Yeah.
This is the shortest rush distance in the pool, so that could kind of play into the choice of strategy this game.
Yeah. Do you think Figaro
might opt for the volatile Baneling-Ling matchup again.
I mean, maybe even a 12 pool, which we have seen him do before.
Well, that would be very exciting.
Oh, yeah. I'll
Alright.
do it once again.
Yeah, let's go.
Maybe for the last time, fighting for his 12th Epic Land Championship. Spawning in the red in the top right of Solaris, Ellie, it is Risky. Risky's parents there clapping in the audience.
And I need all of Figaro's extended family to cheer for him now. He needs your energy. He's brought the series back to 3-1, but it's a long way to go before he can try and get that elusive second title. In the bottom left corner, in the blue trunks, for Team TSI, it is Figaro. Look at that, there's at least 3 of them here.
Proof of life here at EPIC41 indeed. We're back, the old faithful.
Yeah, he's not messing around. So he says, that worked once, I'm going back to my usual build.
Can't blame him at all. He's obviously like really secure in how this kind of plays out, really happy with it. And you know, it's a little bit weird and not everyone is kind of used to playing against it, which means you kind of have an edge and that you kind of know where you are at all times in the game that you're playing.
I'm sure Figaro and Risky talk a lot, especially about Zerg-based matchups, so you know, it's not going to be that new to Risky or that unfamiliar perhaps in this instance, but you know, if it's the build you're most comfortable with, you know, that's what you want to bust out at the grand finals of a tournament.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And this is obviously his tournament life on the line. Reverse sweep potential coming through, but we'll see if he can actually pull it off.
A reverse sweep would be pretty damn hype though, let's be honest.
It would be so good.
At the very least, just getting to Game 7 would be a huge moment. I think everyone in the crowd would be absolutely buzzing to see more of this StarCraft 2 action, and I'm sure production will be super hyped to be here well past midnight, into the depths of the night. It's not able to go to the bar and get a drink just yet. I'm sure Risky is thinking much the same thing, Jasha too. But yeah, let's see where this game develops.
Yeah, a lot of time to fill in these early games as there's not really like anything super dynamic happening for the first couple minutes. But
no, we've watched a lot of ZVZ. There's not too much more you can talk about in the early stages of this matchup. We can see these Overlords, once again, not having a kissy-kissy, but instead getting into the naturals and going, yes, my opponent has expanded.
I would like to say you have seen less CVZ than I have, because I did manage to find guest casters for a couple just to save you save the trauma.
It's true, it's true. There's only so much a Protoss brain can take of the creepy, crawly, buggy things.
Yeah, we're balling and you hate it. Yeah, I'm just so glad to co-cast with so many amazing people, and it's been a really great time.
Yeah, big shout out to all the StarCraft 2 community here. The UK SC2 community is one of the most wholesome, welcoming, and friendly communities in all of esports, to be honest. And you'll be doing yourself a great service to come down to Epic Land at all, but if you can hang out with these guys, learn a bit about StarCraft, even if it's not your game, they'd all love to share this fantastic esport with you.
Yeah, and it's completely, it's such a friendly, I nearly said friendly crowd. It's so nice for everyone to come down and get backed up.
You've got Final Fantasy 7 on the brain, Rebirth's just come out, and more importantly, Baneling Nests are coming out.
Thank God. Some units with a little bit of explosivity in this game. Fig hiding is once again, and actually doing a really good job of zoning out the Lings this game. Even though there were 4 made. Normally it's just the 2 that sneak in. This game there's 4 and they haven't managed to see anything.
So in the previous game it felt like Risky's Baneling Nest was reactive, I suppose. He got the scout off and then went, oh, I'll have one of those too. In this game, not so much. They've gone down pretty much at the exact same time. They're going to finish at the same time. But in the meanwhile, Figaro's built a Roach Warren in his wall. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think Risky even got to see it. I don't think his speed links kind of looped back around. He did actually start to... Okay, he just barely, sorry. He did start to trade with some of those links in the middle of the map. And actually, Risky is going for this in a big way, which I think suits Figaro just fine.
With a full wall and with Roaches potentially coming soon, if he can stabilize, this could be favourable.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like either player really has a massive edge, though Risky did manage to squeeze out a few more workers.
Oh, these Banelings are going to get spotted.
Yeah, let's see how spotted. On the right-hand side.
Oh
really
my God.
Figaro actually eating a massive Bane hit there. That's not how he wanted this push to start. Risky getting his Queens back to the wall to try and hopefully block that off. In the meantime, he has to kind of use the Lings to zone out, Fig's Lings, and then also keep his Lings away from the Bane nest. So many Lings here for Risky. The Bane hits are going pretty well for him so far.
Yeah, and Figara's, siphoning off these banelings one at a time, getting like 3 lings at a time, which is not as many as you would hope to get, but he did just kill 4 drones.
Yeah, it's 4 drones, but it's 4 that Risky could actually afford to lose, so he's now going across the map in a big way. I'm hoping Fig has some baits at home, otherwise he's in a spot of bother. There's one starting to go now, but yeah, he's going to need more than that. Lair on the way for Fig behind all of this, and Risky's sticking with his +1 melee, his +1 range, sorry. Does catch a lot of the lings in that speed-up zone in the middle of the map.
Yeah, Figaro is trickling lings across the map, and unfortunately for him, he's left a massive hole in his wall, and the ling run by has got all the way into the main.
Yeah, no baneling at the top of the ramp means that Risky will run riot over here. 7 workers going down.
Both the queens are going to die.
Queens are going down, so there shouldn't be anything here for Fig, so that is going to be it.
That's going to be it. The GG, the well played. That is the risk when you go for the ling bling style. He said it was volatile, and Risky's this time made it work for him, and he wins yet another epic LAN title.
What an anticlimactic end to the evening, but we did get out of here before midnight. Just barely.
Just barely. We squeaked out, but we did get to see another fantastic series of StarCraft, and of course, huge congratulations to
there's
Risky.
no bad blood here. Well done, Risky.
No, both the
4-1.
players are good mates, so they'll take that in good sport, I'm sure.
Got a point back on the board there for Yasher as well, so he won't be going home too upset.
Yeah,
Obviously,
not empty-handed.
second is all right. I think we're going to throw it over to the stage. Please.
Reaper, do you want to take it away?
Well, gents, congratulations first and foremost, and commiserations as well. Hope you both enjoyed. Well, sort of. How about yourself first, and we'll talk to you first, and we'll come to you. Okay. How did it go for you then?
Yeah, I mean, they weren't the best games, I guess. I wish there was more longer macro games back and forth, but unfortunately the games didn't go that way. I just did basic timings basically, which ended up working. And some of the games were just hectic and short, which is, like I said, anticlimactic. So yeah, a bit unfortunate, but yeah, happy to win. Yeah.
Yeah, hectic and short being the perfect moment because I'm controlling the lights.
Oh yeah.
So every now and again I'd be like, Reaper, turn the lights on. I'm like, oh, sorry, yeah, no worries. Just light this up very quickly yourself, though, so obviously commiserations. I would ask how it went for you, but obviously we know. But you know what I mean? Is there anything that you would change?
Yeah, I don't think I had the best game plan going into it. I definitely didn't execute that well. But Josh has been playing great this tournament, so I'm not too upset to lose. And I think even if I'd been playing my best, it would have been really, really, really tough. So I'm not disappointed at all. I'm happy I finally get to play a grand finals with Josh. And yeah.
Perfect. Well, there you go, my friend. You might as well do the trophy lifting yourself. I'll let you get to the centre of the stage for the camera and all that. Congratulations. Give another round of applause. Come on, another cheer as well, everyone. No? There we go. Thank you very much. Well then, my friend, well, that's it for us for today, at least anyway. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back tomorrow morning, fresh and early with Valorant. But otherwise, go get some sleep and we'll see you in the morning.